We'll start in a minute.
So, greetings of Sri Ramanavami to all of you and to all of us. So, when we think of Rama, we have to think of Vālmīki also. I mean, that is, the two go together. So, Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Vālmīki Kokilam. This is the best kavya, the best text, Ramayana, which he has given, the Adi Kavya, which has knit this country from north to south like nothing else. No politics, nothing of that kind, no wars, but only a beautiful kavya. If there is any poem which has integrated a large country culturally and given it a civilizational dimension, it is Ramayana. Rama may be very ancient and that is another matter. I'm not bothered about that. But the kavya, and that is Vālmīki. So we have to be grateful to Vālmīki for having given us such a beautiful treasure. So today we bow to him also. So yesterday there were some questions about Navagraha. I think that gentleman come, Sridhar, I think, right? He has not yet come, okay. He was asking about the Adidevata, Pratyadi Devata and things of that kind. And there was some discussion about 12-year drought, Dvadasha Varshiki, and Sarasvatī river, etc. So I wanted to put up all of that together and broadly calling it religious astronomy. That questions an analysis of the kind how, with all this knowledge, we are calling ourselves sanātanis, the sanātana dharma. Now, is that also connected with astronomy is going to be the question. I am not going into the religious issues or the rituals, but astronomy is so closely interrelated with our day-to-day life. Actually, for that purpose, I wrote an article which got published in the Mythic Society, the characterization of elapsed time as historical past in Hinduism. This I added at the end, and today in this lecture I wanted to cover that, but I will not do that. I leave it for you to read it and understand. Based on what we discussed yesterday, I have put up a few slides. It is closely connected with this only. The question is going to be, why in the Purāṇas we have the kalpas, manvantaras and other things, so that it becomes so long, billions of years old. Briefly, it is because in the Maitrāyaṇīya Sūrya yonihi kālasya has said, kāla has to start from Sūrya only. So the purāṇic people, they had a big problem. If they had to write about their past, from where should they start? They have to start only from Sūrya, Surya's birth. And that cannot be, we said, 100 years, 300 years or 400 years. You can't simply keep on telling pura like that also. So they made some estimates and they how they calculated, I don't know, about 2.5 billion years before present. That is when Sūrya was born, and the kalpa is going to be 4.3 billion and all that, which are very large numbers, like what the modern physicists also say, astrophysicists say, for the birth of the solar system and all that. So when you talk in terms of billions and millions, human life of 100 years is just like a mosquito, you know. So it just doesn't matter actually. It is the length which matters. So it is as good as telling infinite past, or it is as good as telling anadi, or as good as telling sanātana. Sanātana means perpetual and anadi kind of thing. But please remember, in the same Maitrāyaṇīya, he says, sun was in Maghā when the Dakshinayana started. So for that period, it is around 1800 BC. Please see this. So today in the 20th century, astrophysicists telling that solar system was 4.9 billion years old doesn't mean these people were there 4.9 billion years ago, right? They were not there in the Big Bang period. None of us were in the Big Bang period. It's an imaginary thing, but it's an intellectual estimation connecting our past with ourselves. We are here today. I want to connect myself with my past, not just my father, grandfather, great-grandfather. Beyond that, I even don't know the names of my great-great-grandfather. We don't know. Most of us don't know. Only in some places something is written down. But we connect ourselves with Vishwamitra, Vamadeva, Vasishta, Rama, Krishna, all of that. And is it not? So that connection, is it a kind of a chronological connection or you want to call it a psychological connection, but that is all connected with time only, some kind of kāla only. So this you have to bear in mind, and that is what is important for a culture and a civilization. A culture becomes a civilizational culture, or it makes a contribution to as an independent civilization when these kinds of thoughts all come up. That is, cosmology or cosmography is integrated with ordinary observational astronomy and normal mundane calendar and with some festivals and other things. It is good to have a festival, enjoy, have some prasad, naivedya and all that is very good. But the past, how it is connected and where it came up, that also we have to ponder. That is the first suggestion which comes from the Maitrāyaṇīya, that we have to not just be happy with sun is from Maghā to there he is going, this nakshatra is there. You also have to think about Sūrya yonhi kālasya, because Sūrya is the kind of a door for going behind to akāla and akāla. That is the parā vidyā. So somebody was asking about Nachiketa and Yama Nachiketa, the conversation and others yesterday. And these are all the parā vidyā kind of thing, not the apara vidyā. So when it comes to parā vidyā, it is common to everyone. In the sense, we may not know what it is, because we are looking only from the knowledge which is accessible to our senses. But Suryopasana is common to all in India. Whether it's a Vaishnava, Shakta, Shaiva, or even an atheist, he may not believe in anything. Suryopasana is the most basic thing. And you would see that even villagers who may not know anything, illiterates, they will stand and bow to sun and do some prayer. So that way, the civilization is totally connected with sun and completely connected with, in a sense, with the birth of sun or when the manifestation happened. I hope you get a broad picture, And that is what is meant in the Vedas, in almost in every ritual, every place, when they say about Dyauh Pita Prithvi Mata, that is one statement, but it's all integrated, totally integrated. That is why, in the modern way, when we look at things objectively, becomes many times difficult to interpret. But anyway, this integrated culture has come through all these years, and we are studying pre-siddhāntic astronomy. In the sense, it is not the Western influenced astronomy, but it is the indigenously developed astronomy. So it is also a religious astronomy in a sense. So in the next about maybe half an hour or so, I will briefly go through this. I will show you a few more physical happenings which you can all access, read, understand, and some of you might have already felt also of that kind, but they are all connected with the planets, with the Vedic mantras, the Vedic texts and our practices. Yesterday, I think Sridhar hasn't come yet, okay. The question was about Navagraha, which is a very important ritual all over India, planetary worship. It should not be called actually planetary worship. The best thing, now you would have understood, Graha is actually a celestial object which represents some kind of soma. It can also represent soma, which is kāla in the highest sense. But ritually, these are all to be worshipped in a Vaidika way, having cups, having later on, I'm sure all of you would know, you keep the kalash or a kumbha or, a pot and avahana the Devi or Ganapati or some other god, Varuna, and then do the worship. So that Graha is actually the holder. So the Navagrahas are actually the 9 holders of some spiritual energy. You have to take it in that sense. In the sky, they represent the objects. And that tradition has come to us to this day, both Vaidika and there are also Tantrika, then there are āgamika, there are so many other variations. But the Vedic thing is there in the Griha Sutras and in some sense in the Shrauta Sutras. One important question which people ask is, where the planets are represented in the Veda, where is the tradition for that? In many of the other branches, it is lost. That is, in the Taittiriya, or indirectly you can see it. Brihaspati is mentioned from the Rigveda itself. So it is either it is Jupiter or a bright Shukra, whatever it may be. But the planets are there. You can't say that Vedics did not see the planets. It strikes you in the eyes because of its brightness. When you talk about the 27 nakshatras and all that, you can't say, I did not see the planet. You may not know which is that planet. That is another matter. But in the Katha tradition, which is actually originally a Kashmirian tradition, totally lost over time, there are texts of the Kata Brahmana, some bit of Kata Aranyaka, then Kata Griha Sutra is available called the Kataka, and part of it is available in the south. The Taittiriya Brahmana, the third part is called Katakam, and many people don't know why it is called Katakam. They will simply say, I am studying Katakam. So today I had in my school the Katakam was Katakam because it has come from another place, from the Kata. Because the branches, as the rules say, if in your shaka a particular mantra is not known or forgotten, you can take it from another place and fill it up there. There is no bar on that. And anyway, to cut this story short, there is a Kata Sankalana done by Suryakanta. He was a professor in Lahore. This book is available online. That is in the archive.org. What he did was, there is no practitioners for this. It is not anymore a oral tradition. So he collected the manuscripts in Kashmir, in Lahore, in northwestern region, many from Muslim families, that means who had converted to Islam, were the originally Bhatts. And he has referred all of them in the introduction. I can't go into that. He put up the Graheshti Brahmanam, then Graheshti, the mantras, and how the Graha Brahmanam was done there in the Kata Sampradaya. Now, many of these mantras are common. They are all Rigvedic mantras, which are common all over India. So you can see at some time, like the Nakshatreshti, Graheshti was also there. That much we can know. So which are the Grahas? Is the Graheshti mantra and etc. are there. I will not read all of them. Just I wanted to inform you. Because if somebody wants to do further research and all that, you have to know these things. Now, this is for the Homa. The present day Navagraha Homa may not use this. And that again depends on Kerala, they use slightly different mantras. In Andhra Sampradaya, they use different mantras. Broadly the same, the Navagraha. That Navagraha, what we do today is mostly Grihya. So please remember, there is difference between Shrauta Yagas, Shrauta Karmas and Grihya Karmas. So Shrauta is generally a community work. That is, more than one person has to be involved. There should be some 4 at least minimum kind of priests to do a Shrauta Karma. Now, this was practiced both in the Shrauta system as well as in the Grihya. Now, because of the forgetfulness or something, whatever might have happened, today we have a peculiar kind of thing. In most of the temples, you have Navagraha Vigrahas, right? When you enter a temple, there is a Navagraha. People go around and then put a light, particularly for Shani, it's a Tila you have to put, and then go around and then we'll say, okay, this is Rahu, this is Ketu, this is Sūrya and all of that. 3 by 3, there will be 9 grahas are there. And what feeling they have when they do that is another matter. I will show a little bit of that also later. Now in this, the grahas are actually 11. 9 grahas are there, no doubt. But you can see, first say Aditya, next is Shukra. Shukra is the Grahanam Paravaraha, is the foremost. Okay, Sun is the leader is another matter, but Shukra is the most important Graha, more important than Brihaspati. That is, he is the bright, and there are very special qualities for Shukra, that is Bhargava. Now, the Indologists have said it has been a kind of the Bhargava clan. They have occupied all the places and they wanted to show they are the leaders, and hence everywhere they call themselves Bhargavas, and later on with the Angirasa clan they combined, then you have the Brigvangirasa and all of that. And that means they have reduced something which was celestial and spiritual to ordinary politics, kind of Israel-Iran conflict. They put Bhrigu and Angirasa as one against the other. You have to be careful. The Bhrigu and Angiras, if they have fought, Guru and Shukra, it is in the sky. Mahābhārata says that. When Karna died, he says, it is as though Guru and Shukra are fighting each other. Because one is in this north, one is, east, one is in the west, it seems as though the two are fighting. That is a poetic imagery. It does look like that. So be careful on these things. Don't combine the ordinary human beings who may call themselves Bhargavas, who may call themselves Gargas, because the Gargas are actually from the Angirasa. So that is from the Guru Jupiter family, or the Jupiterians, whereas these are the Venusians, you can call them the Bhargavas, because they claim that they were originating from there also. Like the Sūrya Vamshis are supposed to have come from sun, Chandra Vamshis are from moon. These people also would claim that we have come from some particular thing. Yesterday I showed you in the Atharvaveda Parishishta for the 27 nakshatras, there are rishis. So Gargyas were in the Shravishta kind of thing. So they may go back to that place after their life. All the Gotra people, the feeling is so enormous of the orthodox tradition which has come up. They use the same names in doing the yajnas, yagas of the first originators, and then after their afterlife, it is a Sukritinam Lokaha. So they would go to that Loka. So there are many places in the Vedas and Brahmanas, they would say Sayujyam avapnoti, Sūrya says Sayujyam avapnoti, or Salokyam avapnoti. In Atharva Shiras it comes like for Ganapati Atharva Shiras, that Loka you go kind of thing. So be things. It can be used in a religious sense, no doubt, because it has come down to the common man. But the original thing is slightly different for astronomical issues. Now, apart from the 9, Shukra, Brihaspati, then comes to Buddha, then Arka. Arka is actually here used in the sense of Mars, that is Angaraka. Whether that arka is a typing error, I don't know, but I will come to that. Saura is okay, is Shani. And then Chandrama, then Rahu, then Ketu. Ketu is the comet. It is not the descending node opposite Rahu. Then Dhruva. Dhruva Dhairyavan Dhairyam Asmin Yajñe Yajamane Dadato. Because he is Dhairya, because he is Abhaya. In the Taittiriya Aranyaka, he is Abhaya. So he is the Dhairyavan. Then Agastyo Viryavan Viryam Asmin Yajñe Yajamane Dadato. Agastya is the canopus, which is in the south. Dhruva is in the north. And again the Taittiriya Aranyaka has already said, Nakshatra Shankruto Avasan. So they have to be taken into consideration. So this was the original homa for the Navagrahas with extra two. Even today when they do Navagraha, they also do Vishnu Sukta, Sri Sukta, Rudra Sukta a little bit and all that. So it doesn't matter. But this is the canonical 11. But note that this is not in the weekday order. Weekday will be sun, then moon, then you have the Mangala, then Buddha, then Guru, then Shukra, then Shani. That system is a foreign induced system. It is not our system actually, which has come historically from the pre-BCE period. The pre-BCE period, there is slight confusion, but invariably after Aditya it is Shukra. Please remember that. Whereas these are not known. Okay. Here, it gives the colors of the Graha and other things and some kind of progeny. For example, Saimhikeyaya Prajapati Sutaya Simhika Garbha Sambhutaya Harivarna Sadrishaya Haritambara Chira Vasase. That is for Rahu. Saimhikeya is Rahu. Namah Keta Agni Putraya. He is with the Agni. Sandhya Garbha Sambhutaya. Why? Because in the Mahasalila he is seen along with the sun in the southwest position in the evening. And that is why the Sandhya Garbha or early morning. So Sandhya can be Sayan Sandhya or Pratan Sandhya. So the Ketus are always, they become visible in these two places. Sometimes, of course, in the night they can come up. This is very well known, even in modern astronomy and astrophysics. So I will quickly go through this. This is the tradition which has come to Parashara, which I yesterday already mentioned, where Angarka is Vakri. So the word Vakri is used in the mantras also previously. And their positions, the number of days which are needed for the rotation was also known for Parashara. And Buddha also, yesterday I showed this, And this has been commented by Utpala, because the first shloka is by Brihat Samhita. And that is where Brihat Samhita Varahamihira says, Parashara Tantre Nakshatraihi Kirtita Gatayah. So Parashara Tantra was a well-known book in those period, in 5th century AD. Only now we have reconstructed it, that's all. Like this Kata Sankalana is a reconstruction, what I showed. When I saw this Kata Sankalana and all of that is reconstructed, I thought I can also reconstruct Parashara, even though the word Parashara Tantra is used in Brihat Samhita, so I can take the same title, because it is established by Varahamihira himself that there was a text of that kind. So that is how we reconstructed. That was the inspiration for me to do this work. Oh, something you can't read, but something else you are able to read. What it means is the following. The 5 positions are given in the Parashara Tantra book is there, you can read it very easily. What it says is, in the English I have put up, when the Shukra, in the east you can see, keeps on rising each day, goes to a higher height, then goes to the maximum elongation as it is called, then keeps on going down each day. You can see only before sunrise, not after sunrise. Then comes down and sets, vanishes somewhere in the east. In the, if you see only the east only I am talking about, nothing else. Now once it sets, it remains set for some number of days. And that number of days was known. He says the Venus having set in the east along the 5 paths becomes visible after 55, 65, 70, 81 and 90 days respectively. Where does it rise? In the west. So for so many days, you can't see. That doesn't mean suddenly it comes after 65 or whatever. Please see that. Once it happens, it goes down. You wait. After some days, it comes in the west. West also, it moves for about 3 months. It will be there and sets. And it rises in the east after 6, 8, 12, 15 and 24 days. These are all observational material. Why they have given it in so carefully? If it sets in one nakshatra, it will not rise in the same nakshatra. It will rise in some other nakshatra. Or in other words, yesterday Hariharan was mentioning about the Venus signature for rainfall in the Varsha Rutu. It is seen in the east. Then it is good rainfall is what we are telling. Because it is absent in the east for so many days. But when it's seen in the east, not exactly in the same place. Like sun moves, rise keeps on changing. Shukra also moves on changing when it rises. But it rises in 5 fixed places. For sun, you have 366 days or 183 days this way, 183 days this way. Because we are so closely connected, we don't think of this at all. But for Shukra, there are 5 specific places. And those 5 points in the nakshatras, if you plot, you get that panchakona, you get a pentagon. That is why this 5 is important. Why that pentagon is important? The mantra, which I think Sridhar, has he come back? He is there. You were talking yesterday about Adidevata, Pratyadidevata. That's what I am covering. Because you raised that question. The Shukraya, Shukrante, Anyad Yajatante, Anyad Vishurupe, Hani Dyaurivas. This is the Rigveda mantra, which is used today in the Navagraha pujas, at least in the south. Can be slight difference in the north. And Indraṇīya, first is Indrani who comes in. Adidevata, Pratyadidevata, Indrani, Masu, Narishu, Subhaga, etc. That is again 10.86 Rigveda. Then Indraya, because Indra is the Pratyadi Devata. Indram vo Vishwaspari Havamahe Janebhya Asmakamastu Kevalaha. Again Rigveda. These are the mantras. And how do you do the Avahana? Bhagavantam Shukram Prangmukam Sūrya Grahasya Purva Digbhage Panchakonakara Mandale. Where is that Panchakonakara Mandala? That is what I showed you in the previous graph. He is always in this Panchakonakara Mandala. Astronomical, observational, Parashara Tantra related, known for already some 3,000, 4,000 years. And today, this tradition remains distorted. Some people know this, some people don't know this. And again, these are all going to be going round, may round coming. The whole mantra is very long. If in the Vaidika way it is done, it is all available in the Ashvalayana Sutra Parishishta. That would be the Vaidika way of doing the Navagraha Puja and the Navagraha Homa. Āgamika and purāṇika will all be different, and Laukika will all be different. What you do in the temple, going and doing, it is a Laukika kind of Navagraha Puja. Nothing lower, don't think like that. It's the emotions which are important, but this is more accurate astronomically and celestially with what they observed. Otherwise, they would not have got the Panchakonakara. Now, somebody asked me, sir, what about Buddha? Buddha also we know is an inner planet. If for, it is quite well known now that there are some kind of cycles. There is a symmetry, what you may say. There is a 5 pointed symmetry for Shukra. So whatever you take with Venus, there is a 5 pointed symmetry. You understand this symmetry. It is always going to be 5, 5, 5. Even in the West, the rising, you mark the points, it is always 5. You take only the setting, it is also 5. Paṅkto yajñaha. This is actually why Indra came up. You can now relate. Indra is kāla abhimani. Shukra is also kāla abhimani. And Shukra is the person who manages this time pretty well. And Shukra is also called Tiryak Gati, like Sūrya. In the lexicons and other places it is given. Now, I will not go into all those details, but for Buddha, what is it? If I take the eastern visibility of Buddha, this was plotted actually by Sundar. I think Sundar hasn't yet come. In the various nakshatras for a particular period, for about 5 years or so, you get this kind of figure. It is not the Panchakonakara, but you get this, which is like a chapa, actually a bow. And it is, in the Chapakara is mentioned in one of the things also. The mandala for Buddha is Chapakara. The others we will not worry about it. I will have to quickly complete this talk. Okay, this is the Ashvalayana Parishishta I am showing, where all the details are given. For each and every of the grahas, how it should be, avahana has to be done, what is the pita, what color has to be used, tamra for Mars, and Rajata for Shukra, and what kind of pushpa should be used, what kind of tila or the rice should be used. All that is available from the original Vaidika practice itself. Now, this is the available which you can order on Amazon online or whatever, the Navagraha yantra which is sold. Extremely unhappy with that, because you can see Shukra show it as hexagon. Can you see that? Now, sun has to be circle, that is okay. Even in the text it is going to be like that. Moon also would be a circle, and for Mars it is generally a triangle, Trikonakara. So that Trikonakara is there. Here, this is Trikonakara mandala. Then for Rahu, it is generally Shurpakara. Because the Rahu shadow, you remember on moon, recently we had the lunar eclipse, sometimes it will be part, sometimes it will be full. So when it is partial, the shadow will be only like Shurpa will be, a vino. Mora, Kannadadal mora anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. I don't know in Hindi, I don't know what is it called. It's a winnowing, You take rice and wheat and other to do like this so that the dust and other things goes out. That is a Shurpa. So Rahu is like that. And Ketu is Dhwaja. Generally it is shown as a Dhwajakara. Dhwaja means a flag. Yeah, comets, they look like flags, or they're like the flags of some god or something like that. That is the thing. It is to the Purva Digbhaga of sun, but here it is taken as hexagon. I have seen in some of the other paintings, and there is so much of art with Navagraha, Navagraha Rangoli, Navagraha painting, Navagraha images, hundreds and thousands are available. One way it is very good, but this is forgotten. And then for Buddha, they show a Bāṇakara, not a Chapakara, but a Bāṇakara. Whatever may be the reason, Chapa and Bāṇa, they are after all, Bāṇa is the arrow, Chapa is the bow. Whereas for Buddha, it was originally Chapa. So it has got interchanged perhaps, it doesn't matter. This is the 9 today use, right? And hence my suggestion that when we study this, it is better to have some comparison with the religious things also, at least have in mind. At least we can tell people how it was and all that. And Ketu was not at all the descending node. And Ketu is not kept opposite Rahu. That tradition is followed. Ketu and Rahu, they are in two other karnas. They are not kept one opposite the other at all. Whereas Shukra and Buddha are kept near and to the east of Sun. Of course, it's a small place, we can't capture all of them, but this is the situation. Now, there are also birth of the planets. Srishti is one thing, but in the Purāṇas, there is what is called Grahotpatti. And in the Grahotpatti, which nakshatra, which Graha was born is said. So, Vivaswan Aditya Putraha Sūryo vai Chakshushaentare. In the Chakshusha Manvantara, Vishakasu Samutpannaha Grahanam Pratamo Graha. All the Purāṇas give this. I have taken it from Vayu. Others also give the same thing. Soma, Shita Rashmi Samutpannaha Kritikasu Nishakaraha. This may be the equinoctial full moon case which we analyze, possibly, because these are the equinoctial points, Kritika and the Vishaka. So, this, as the Purāṇas timing matches with the Maghā period, which I have already demonstrated 2 days back, Kritika 1/4 with the Vishaka 3/4 and all that. All of this might have originated during that, which is missing from Mahasalila and other texts, because there is no Grahotpatti given in Mahasalila. But nakshatras are there, Graha dimensions are there, Graha Rashmis are there. So it is quite possible this also contains information about 1800 BC. And these may be a kind of some perigee positions or perihelion or aphelion positions, or where they were looking very small or very big, or some observational thing. But the order is this. Then comes Shodasharchi, that is Shukraha, Graha Angirasa Putraha, Dvadasharchihi. It is the same thing in the Mahasalila also, Dvadasharchi. Then Lohitanga, Prajapati Sukha Graha. Sometimes they give the Rashmi, sometimes they don't give, that doesn't matter. Saptarchihi Sauraha. Saura has 7 rays, same thing there also. Ita Taragrahashchaiva Bodhavya Bhargavadaya, blah blah, all of that. Now, sometimes these are broken, sometimes given in full. This we have not investigated. Somebody here may take it up and analyze it further. Why I had to say this? Once again we come to a little bit of Mahābhārata before I close. That is again the Purāṇas in some sense. Rahu and Ketu, they cause awful lot of problems. Now people do Navagraha Homa, Navagraha Puja, and they do a kind of vrata and all of that, with some kind of feeling that they are having. And they think always Rahu and Ketu are opposite, because many people would keep their horoscope also there, for worshipping. Because somebody would have told them, in your Jataka, you see Ketu is in the bad place, so you have to do something, or Rahu is in the bad place, you have to do something. Do the Navagraha Puja, everything will be all right, or whatever. These are the usual things. But these poor people, they would be thinking, Rahu and Ketu are going to be the ones which are causing the eclipses. You can't see Rahu, you can't see Ketu. They are points, imaginary points. Like equinoctial point, you can't see. But when the Graha is there, you know what is that Graha. So that positioning is very important for us to do a dhyana or whatever. So when they have to think of that, you have to do the dhyana of a particular Graha or an icon. The Rupa Samriddhi is very important. You have to have the same kind of thing. You say Chaturmukham and you don't imagine 4 mukhas, or you say Chaturbhujam, but you think of somebody with Ashtabhuja Murti or whatever, it won't lead to the right concentration. Simple as that. I'm not going into the Vedantic technicalities, but normal human beings I am telling you. Now you see in the Mahābhārata, Rahu, Ketu, so many things come up. I will not go into details. There is in the Bhishma Parva, I am giving here is the Gorakhpur edition with the translation and also the text, actually is the text of Neelakanta's commentary on that. And I don't think you'll be able to read it. Rahu Ketus Sada Sama Saptakau Adya Ekarashi Gatau iti Bhavaha, he says. So the details you have to read. I have also published on this. Dhumaketu is with the Pushya star, it is mentioned. Dhumaketur Mahagoraha Pushyam Akrame Tishtati or something like that. It also refers to Shveto Graha Chitramakrame Tishtati is also there. So Neelakanta 7th century, 17th states, Rahu and Ketu were together in the same sign during the war. Because Chitra and Pushya, they come together, So, and he is telling that it is in the same Rashi. How is that possible? And he also says, Sada Samasaptakam. Normally they are opposite each other, but today they are together. That means the ecliptic had broken or the nodes were broken, moon should have hit earth. That was the only way it could have happened. That has not happened. And this interpretation is simply wrong because he took Ketu to be 180 degrees away from Rahu. That is a degeneration of siddhāntic astronomy combined with the older horoscopic hora, part of which came from outside. Because in the Islamic astronomy, concepts of this kind are there. That it is the same Sarpa or the Rahu goes and its tile is also there. That is an astronomical concept of the two nodes. We will not go into those details. But here you can see this leads to some kind of problematic issues. I don't know how many agree with me or not, but this has been translated, Neelakanta's commentary, and English translation of Mahābhārata is available, Kisari Mohan Ganguly, and after that, reprinted also. Ganguly says he follows only Neelakanta. All astronomical things are put as astrological. Each and every one of them are interpreted as astrological. So how can you argue on such a text? Now people want to know date Mahābhārata based on astronomical things. The complexity or the controversy is going to be these. Which you take, which you omit, how do you interpret? There are 100 interpretations for the same shloka. So you have to be cautious of these things. Now there are quite a few. Let me complete. We will talk about it. This comet imagery, there is a kind of connection with the country actually, not just the celestial thing, because it has caused disasters also. So Brahmadanda Vinishpishtaha Samipe Lavanambasa, who the Vrishnis, Yatrate Purusha Vyagra Shastra Sparsha Saha Yudhi. It is in the Adiparva, but it indicates the Yadavi Kalaha which was happening. It was the Brahmadanda Vinishpishta. This comes in the Mausala Parva, and it is, as Mausala Parvan is explained as a Musala, which you remember this story. Vishwamitra giving a shapa to Samba because he wants to tease Vishwamitra, and when I am going to deliver my baby, that's what he asks. Vishwamitra knows, he says, with the same Musala you are going to die, hit and die. This is the story which comes there. And Parashara Tantra, Vriddha Garga, Brihad Samhita, all of them say Brahmadanda was a comet. Now in the interpretation you say Brahmadanda is some creator's shapa or something of that kind. Or in the Jataka something is said, they will say that. And in the Utatya Upakhyana, in the Anushasana Parva, the comets, something coming and falling, And Sarasvatī river shifting to the west is also mentioned. That is Darshayasva Stalam Bhadra Shat Sahasra Shatahradam, that created 60,000 openings. Tatastad Irinam Jatam Samudra Shapasarpitaha, became Irina and Samudra went back. Comes again in the Skanda Purāṇa, and it was dry. There was no Sagara for about 1,000 years, it says. Then later on it came. 1,000 or maybe 100, I don't know. Well, you can read for yourself. I am not going to the details. Irina is Ran of Kutch. And you go to Ran of Kutch, even today you can see large number of openings. Whether they are all openings due to this, I don't know. It may be geological also. But the story of people going into Patala and in Kathasarit Sagara and so many places, it all originated out of this. And it continues. The birth of Kartikeya, yesterday I was mentioning, is again connected, the whole thing from Mahābhārata only. And for 6 days, how it increased, how it broke down, and how it came down, all that is given. And connected, starting with an Amavasya, and then coming in the Shukla Shashti. It is in the Shukla Shashti only the Subrayana Shashti and those things are observed even today. And that Subrayana Shashti or Subramanya Shashti is connected with this. Subramanya is same as Kartikeya, and he is Mahasena. Here it is there, it gives somewhere Mahasena is there. And this comet imagery is in several places. I am stressing this because Parashara and Vriddhagarga discusses comets. Mahasalila says there were 101 comets. At least a few comets should have been known to people. Mahābhārata knows at least some 5-6 comet imageries, comet happenings that they had seen. You take only the planets as realistic because you want to fight about the Mahābhārata date. Don't take comets as important. And the Shanti Parva also comes. This is about the famine. Why all this happened? Because the comets, or some parts of it fell down, and the Sagara went back, and Sarasvatī went to the west, dried up, and all the people who were in the Sarasvatī Tira, all the Saptarshis who were in the Sarasvatī Tira, they got distributed. They went out of that place. So it is actually an emigration from the Brahmavarta region to the other regions. People might have been living even previously, but you can't put a date specifically on these things from the text. But it is remembered, because the people who face the disaster, they can't say anything. They are all gone. Only their progeny can have the legend, and they can relate these stories through poems and writings, the folklores. So that is how these have developed. And it discusses the famine so clearly. Uchchina Krishi Goraksha Nivritta Vipanapana. There cannot be in any language a description of a famine so serious as this, but so short, crisp, because each word you can write one page. Uchchina Krishi Goraksha Nivritta Vipanapana. So all the Krishi, agriculture, and all veterinary things, everything was gone. Nivritta, Vipana, Apana, trade, buying and sending out, commerce. Nivritta, Yupa. Yupas were gone. That is for the Yajnas, Sambharas. They were all gone. Vipranashta Mahotsava. All the Mahotsavas, what people were celebrating, that was all gone. Then what happened? Asti Sanchaya Sankirna. It is the COVID, which you would have seen in the TVs, how in the TV, the crematoriums, and they were all shown, not only in India, in the other countries, how it was happening. Asti Sanchaya Sankirna, simple Sanskrit, Mahabhuta Ravakula, people crying. Shunya Bhuvishta Nagara, everything was, Nagaras were all empty. Dagda Grama Niveshana. All Grama Niveshanas, they were burnt. This goes like this. I will not go further. And even Further he says, Adyapi itihasam pravadanti. Even now they say this as a historical issue. In the Mahābhārata time they are telling. So Vishwamitrasya samvadam chandalasya cha pakkane itihasam puratanam atra udahritam. That is what in the Shanti Parva Bhishma is supposed to be telling to Yudhishthira. We put Shanti Parva, Bhishma's death to any era, I don't care. Should have been some 1,500 years before. So during the Vedic period and the transition, when the Sarasvatī river dried up, there should have been problems. Okay, now in the Skanda Purāṇa there is impact materials are said, that is asteroid parts falling on ground, and the descriptions are given. I will skip it. Important Skanda Purāṇa, because during the death of Krishna, there was a Samarjini Mahaketuhu Japa Pushpa Sankashaha. It visited the Krishnas. Samarjini Mahaketu means broom mega comet. Broomstick mega comet is a very well-known comet, historical or comet. You can search Google and find out for yours. It looks like a broomstick. Broomstick, you know, that is the word. And that is called that, Samarjini Mahaketu. The color also is given. It's only poetically mentioned in Skanda Purāṇa. Skanda Purāṇa has so many other things. It has a tsunami also. So the Kalakeyas, which we were just now discussing, they were afraid of Vishnu, so they were hiding in the sea. Then in the night, they came Kalakeya iti kyataha, etc. Hatha shesha samudrante pravishta bhaya vikvalaha. What did they do? Valakilyashrame punya shat shatani duratma bihi niswadya vashatkaram bhutalam samprapadyata. I have written on this, I am not reading it. What it means is, these Kalakeyas killed. How many? In Vasishta Ashrama, 12,000 persons were eaten away. Tsunami, it pushed them out. Raibya's place, 500. It gives statistics. Somebody was interested in statistics. In the hermitage of Vishwamitra, 1,600. No wonder Vishwamitra went away and begged for some food in some other place. Chavana's place, 700. Jabala Ashrama, 200. And in Valakali Ashrama, 600 people died. Due to this catastrophe, earth became devoid of Vedic learning and practices. There is a reason for that. Why in the Vedic tradition there is a break? It is not what the Max Muller says or somebody else says that this happened, that happened, and they forgot and so many things. It is due to a natural disaster. Okay, this is, I think, my last one. Even otherwise, I will stop here. This is the Sarasvatī region. The Sarasvatas were supposed to have emigrated out of this. When the Sarasvatī river dried up, it was not over 1 year or 2 years. It would have happened over several generations, you know. And some would have gone on the other direction. So now, don't worry about what is that, AIT and OIT. And Shrauta Sutra, some of them, they say the Amavasus and the Druhyus went to the northwest. Quite possible. And others went in the other direction. That doesn't mean there were no people in south and Ganga, don't think like that. But when this happened, there was some anaya, as they call it, there was a population movement would have happened, large-scale population movement. This even now happens. When the Chamoli earthquake happened in the Himalayas, at least about 5,000 people emigrated to the plains. And invariably, these kind of things happen. The Gujarat earthquake happened in Bhuj region. Many of the families emigrated out to other cities because they have to look for livelihood, you know. So they have to search for that, for them and for their family. This is a common thing all over the world. Let us not be very worried about that. But this Hindu system, what it says is, this Yamuna, which is like this, it was flowing in this direction, but it bent and went away because of some geological formation. Yesterday I was telling about Indra hitting the, okay, this is my last one, so I will stop here. Indra hitting the Arbuda and Arbuda going down, so that river had to turn like this. All this is very poetically described in the Skanda Purāṇa. And there is one shloka which I like it very much. There is a place called Prachi Sarasvatī. Today it is called Pehova or something like that. Now we are talking after about 4,000 years or whatever, because Sarasvatī was supposed to have dried up around 2000 BC, or maybe 100 plus or minus 100 years. What Skanda Purāṇa says would have remembrance of that for some 3,000, 4,000 years and writing it. Says there is one place where Sarasvatī turned east, that is the Prachi Sarasvatī. Flowing west, there is one place, even today it turns like that, the opposite direction, then bends and goes away like that. When she turned like this, she cries, Sarasvatī cries, looking at Ganga. Because she says, we were flowing together previously, now I have become alone, I have become a ekaki. So turning to the east and she cries, then after some time she turns west and goes back, goes into the Aranama, that is to the sea. Now you see, is it geological, is it geographical, or is it poetical, or is it imaginary, or is it religious? Because Pehova, even today, it is a very important place for doing shraddhas and other things. There is a Kartikeya temple also there, and Kartikeya is same as this Mahasena, same as the Mahābhārata, that the same Shanmukha or Muruga. And it's not that Shanmukha, Muruga is only South Indian, no. North Indians also worship. Maybe the tradition might have changed, or in some other manner he may be doing. And he is actually a Vedic god from the Rigveda period. It's a form of Agni. I think that is sufficient. I think the coffee is ready. You can break for coffee. Yes? Yes, exactly. In fact, there is a commentary on what is that text?
Brahmasputa Siddhānta. Brahmasputa Siddhānta.
Brahmasputa Siddhānta, where Prithu is the Swami. And he was living in that place, in Pehova, the Prachi Sarasvatī. Sridhar had what? Come. Yeah.
In Mahābhārata, there is one place before the war. It was called poetic and whatever. That I think Nakula or Sahadeva predicts that if Duryodhana starts the war on so and so day, the Kauravas will win the war. Or maybe Yudhishthira did. And then he goes and informs Krishna. Then Krishna does Tarpana and brings the sun and moon together, and he brings an Amavasya to happen. And that changes the entire astrology and makes the war go in favor of the Pandavas.
I have not come across this.
Yeah, but
mostly all these things are in Udyoga.
just before the war, just before the war, for starting the war, Duryodhana goes and asks for which day he should start the war for him to win. Duryodhana asks, I think Nakula or Sahadeva, one of them knows, sir?
The one which I remember
Sahadeva
is, as per so many versions, with one which I remember is Krishna takes Karna with him in the chariot. They had a discussion. And Karna, of course, doesn't go onto the Pandava side at all. They decide that Karna would fight only. But he goes with Krishna to that. Krishna takes him. And there it says, Ayindra Nakshatra Yojata, something like that. Ayindra Nakshatra. So let the war begin. The Ayindra Nakshatra is what it is there. Indra Amavasya. That is the Jeshta Amavasya, some says. This is interpreted. That is the only thing that I know, which Krishna has to say that. You start the war, whether it is the war itself started, our preparations for the war started, there is a difference over it.
But reason I asked you, that also seems to be, if it were true, an astronomical kind of interpretation is possible. Because
Quite possible.
Quite
possible. See, it is
one
a-
Amavasya to become an Amavasya, something is very special. He made so he does a Tarpana on the day, and all the gods get surprised why Krishna is doing Tarpana on a day when it is not Amavasya.
I don't know.
No, this is a
I don't know. Because there is awful lot of
Stories.
No. The interpolations is one thing. Concept of Tarpana. Now, Dharmashastras, but even particularly Mahābhārata says, when a comet is seen, the Tarpana should be there. How does it do now? It is not even mentioned, they just don't know. But if you see the comments, Dharmashastra, he puts in a footnote. Yes, some of the Dharma Sutras say that when a comet is visited, Tarpana is done. That's it, stops. But in the Mahābhārata, they were doing, and he is there. See, the reason is, I think, see, the whole thing is astronomical, particularly about comets. You forget about eclipse, forget about your nakshatras and planets. First, study the comets. Comets are the most important thing, omen indicators in the Mahābhārata. At least in the text I have read. They did, I don't know. There are some 10 to 15 places these comets are mentioned. First, we have to sort it out. Then we can go to the other. Simply say Ketu is opposite to Rahu, so it should be something. It doesn't satisfy. Yeah.
Sir, what are the Tamas Kilakaha? Tamas Kilakaha? Because they say
Tamas Kilakaha.
Sūrya Bimbastaha, they will be seen on the surface of the sun. And that is said like Yasmin Yasmin Darshanam Ayanti Tasmin Tasmin Yasanam Manipurina. So what are these Tamas Kilakaha? Rasu Rahustaha.
Yeah. Tamas Kilakaha, some people have taken that to be dark spots. One. Second, if you see Sarasvatī, he gives a list, then Rahu Putraha, he will put some of that. And that Rahu Putraha is quite possible when a comet passes in front of sun, then you can see those spots, large number. Now you know, almost all comets, they will be going near sun when they are coming to the solar system. And many of them, they are attracted to sun. They go fall in sun, they get burned to sun.
But if the comet is passing, then it will be seen from the whole earth.
Listen. As a visible thing, it depends on the orbit of the comet. So not all the comets are in a particular orbit like planetary orbit. Some planets go, and some comets go from north to south. In fact, Parā lists that it went towards Dhruva, and then from Dhruva it went to south. So that is one kind of orbit which is there. They don't follow the planets. Then they can follow the ecliptic orbit also. In Vālmīki it is mentioned. That is before the Kamsavada, when he goes to Mathura, there was a comet which covered the whole sky from Kritika to Vishaka. Now, how can the comet cover Kritika to Vishaka? 13.5 miles. The shloka is there, I think somewhere I have put it up. I don't remember right now. Office I will see that. When I wrote about this, that British fellow, that Napier, was the director of the Royal Observatory, he said it should be the Taurid comet. Because the Taurid, once it gets into the ecliptic, it will be like it covers the whole ecliptic. It is only that way it can go. It is the time which is there. But it should be very rare. That is what they mentioned.
But can we also say that they were seeing the sunspots also?
They were?
Seeing sunspots. The spots on sun.
Sunspot, I don't know. I don't know. There are physicists somewhere, then they should be able to answer that. It should be visible to you. How I don't know. Could be. But there are 2 or 3 cases where I suspect there was the transit of Shukra, transit of Venus, and maybe transit of of Shukra. Because Shukra will cross and then it is a Rathavat or something it says. It is as though a person is sitting in a chariot and it is moving. It is said as a woman. In Adbhuta Sagara it comes. That could be a transit of Venus. I can't imagine anything else. We are already getting ready for that. Swagatam. Swagatam. Thank you.